Well, hi, folks, and thanks for joining us. My name is Jake Milstein, and today we are here to talk to you about our the evolution of our platform, how we're able to better defend and protect customers, and we're very excited to have you here. I see already in the chat people are saying hello. If you want to jump in the chat and let us know where you're joining from. Despite having a Kraken behind me, I'm actually in downtown Seattle. But it's great to have everybody here, and we really appreciate you joining us. And as people come into the room here, it's awesome to see people joining us from around the country for this. We're very excited to talk about the new ways in which we're able to serve our customers and get the security that they deserve. One of the things we frequently say is, just because you're, smaller than Bank of America doesn't mean you don't deserve the same kind of, great security, especially with, nation states coming after you. It's just, it's not a fair game. And so we're here to help you level the playing field. All right. Looks like we have folks in the room here. So a couple things to know, as you all have found, there is a chat on the right. I also want to indicate here that if folks want to email questions instead of putting it in the chat, you can shoot me an email, just jake@criticalinsight.com. And I'll get it, and I'll keep an eye on my email so I can interrupt with questions as they come. Everybody who's here, we're going to email out a link later, so you will get a recording. You can share with your team. You can share on YouTube, or whatever you want to do with it. And we'll also send out the slide deck from this presentation. Now, I do want to say in this presentation, we're going to have some demos. The demos aren't in the deck, so you will have to watch the video to get the demos. So if you don't know us, Critical Insight defends your critical infrastructure. Mike's going to give a little history of the company, but we help organizations prepare for a cyber attack, detect one quickly, and respond decisively. And so joining me today are the founders of the company, Fred Langston and Mike Hamilton. Fred is our chief product officer, and he's leading all the product changes we're going to talk about today. Mike Hamilton is both founder and the CISO. He's the former CISO of Seattle. Garrett Silver is the CEO of the company. Jonathan Inskeep is a security strategist here, and some of you know him because he used to be one of our customers. He was the CIO at Caribou Medical Center in Idaho. And so he's been in your seat. He understands what it's like to be, the lone IT director or one of a few security-minded folks in an organization. And he's going to be doing a lot of doing the demos. And my name is Jake Milstein. I'm the chief marketing officer, and I run our events. And as a question came up in the chat, we redid our website, and we went for a C motif with the Kraken as the, you got to get the Kraken on your side as you go into the rough waters of security. And so because I run marketing, I made all of them use the right backgrounds today, which I can rarely do with Mike Hamilton, but today I got him to do it. Speaking of Hamilton, go ahead, Mike.
Thanks, Jake. So I think it's important before we get going here to make sure that we continue to be grounded in our mission because it's a big part of who the company is. It's a big part of our culture. So let me just say that after 30 years in information security, and I've worked with a whole bunch of people on this call, myself largely in government for about 10 years and Fred largely in the healthcare sector. When we started the company, we made a conscious decision that our company was going to focus on what's important. Those sectors of the economy that, if disrupted, affect us at the scale that we live. So this is local government for water purification, waste treatment, 911, emergency management, and more. Healthcare to maintain the ability to provide continuity of care, and to a certain extent, strategic manufacturing. And note, as Jake pointed out, those sectors are highly impacted by not only criminal, but state actors. The news today is full of reporting on China infiltrating our critical infrastructure. That's why we're here. We also work with the mid-market, those organizations that don't have the ability to invest in large teams. We specifically work with you because, as it says, one size does not fit small. Another important part of our mission is to address the shortage of qualified practitioners in the role that we need the most, analysts. Our affiliated nonprofit Pisces does just that. And that's not just for CI, that's for the United States. So I'll just say that in terms of our platform and service evolution, we're making these changes to better serve the mission, which serves you. Garrett.
Thanks, Mike. So those of you that are our customers, what you've told me over the years is that you choose us because of our people, that it's our people and the service that we provide that really resonates for you. And part of that promise is that our people will continuously tune our platform, that we will incorporate best of breed tools. And in fact, in recent years, you've been asking for more access to those tools yourself, including access to our MDR tool suite, and also a way to measure your success on the security journey so that you have an objective foundation for talking to your management team about your progress, your priorities. So that's what we're here to talk about today. We're excited to show you some of our recent advancements. As we talk about what is changing, I want to make sure that we also mention what's not changing. You will continue to have access to the critical insight team that you know and love. We're not seeking to roll out software so that we can hide our people behind that software. You'll still have access to your core strategy team, the customer success team, your security strategist, and behind that, of course, is the wealth of subject matter experts that we have here at CI. So one of the tools that we have made available to our MDR customers is we've reached an agreement with CyberSaint to offer this CyberStrong risk and compliance tool at no extra charge. And you can use CyberSaint to create a baseline assessment so that you can understand where you are today versus where you want to be across the multiple dimensions of a security journey, which you can see illustrated here in this spider chart. Now, we're going to do a demo in this webinar that's going to show you more about this tool, but you'll see that it's powerful. You'll have access to a variety of standards, and notably this CyberSaint tool does include what they call the NIST power controls baseline, which is it's a subset of the NIST controls, and it's a great way to get started on understanding your security posture. You'll be able to crosswalk that to other standards. You can understand your gaps. You can understand your initiatives. You can even do things like track the cost of various initiatives to resolve those gaps. And all of that then can help you understand what are your priorities. How do you, for instance, buy down the most risk with the least amount of effort, the least amount of money? So pretty excited. This tool is available to our MDR customers today. And your security strategist can help you get started on that baseline assessment. And like I said, we're going to do a demo of this in just a second, so you'll get to see even more. Very excited about this. The other thing that we're talking about today is a big step forward on our managed detection and response platform. And in fact, what we call MXDR now, managed extended detection and response. And this is the result of really a full year's worth of work. We set out to look at ways we could enhance our platform. We looked at a couple dozen of options and platform capabilities, and did a full proof of concept with 3 major vendors, and are really excited to share with you today some of the capabilities that are coming from our decision to embed Stellar Cyber. And I want to walk through a bit of why we chose Stellar Cyber from an architectural standpoint. Stellar, one of the things we love about Stellar is that it handles data and analytics very well. Fundamentally, I think of software platforms as data, analytics, and visualizations. I'm an old software engineer. I've been in the CIO seat. And what I know is that analytics can only be as good as the data is underneath, and that visualizations can only be as good as the analytics and data underneath them. Otherwise, they're just lipstick on a pig. So I want to talk just quickly about the way that Stellar Cyber manages data. And we're going to go from bottom to top here, starting with how we ingest data from your environments. Like Critical Insight does today, we'll be able to ingest data using a multiple multiple techniques. We can use sensors or collectors. We can also use API connectors. Our goal is to ingest both the high fidelity security alerts that come off of your existing security technologies, along with raw events where maybe you don't have security analytics capabilities today. And as we pull that data up, we want to structure that data so that we can use it consistently. The Stellar Cyber platform enhances that data as it's ingesting it. And part of what it's doing is also noting what entities and assets are in that data so that we can start to track behaviors at that level. Most of the work then is done in this hot searchable store. So we want to store this data for the variety of purposes that we have. The searchable store lets us do things like detect threats, do threat hunting, do initial investigations. And then Stellar Cyber also provides this long-term object store that lets us look back across longer periods of time. And then we couple that with the log retention capabilities that CI has today in order to provide basic records retention capabilities. So now once that data is stored, Stellar Cyber has a rich set of analytics. So in some cases, we're tuning high fidelity security alerts and prioritizing them for investigation. But especially where there's raw events, Stellar Cyber is applying rule-based detections, supervised ML, unsupervised ML, all to understand, are there IOCs, are there anomalies in this data? Stellar Cyber couples that then with graph ML correlation. So looking across all of these alerts and understanding where are there common assets, where are there common behaviors, where are there common entities across time, and starting to map things across the kill chain and make sure that we are able to quickly identify correlated activities so that we can understand how these things interrelate. Important to us and important to you is that Stellar Cyber gives us capabilities for automating the standard investigation procedures. We really want our people to do the things people are good at. We don't need them to do the manual rote work. And so some automation is important. And then getting into the response action and being able to initiate things like rapid quarantine, isolating an endpoint, disabling a user. So this isn't completely different than what we do today, but this work on Stellar Cyber represents a big step forward in our ability to integrate across more data sources, to detect even more things, and ultimately to provide advanced features to you customers that want to actually interact with the platform directly.
I'd like to comment a little bit about the history because we have really always been a managed XDR provider. Our approach has always been to take what our customers have and integrate those technologies into our stack rather than having you go out and become an EDR vendor, captive EDR vendors provider, and having them manage and monitor things that really aren't in their swim lane. So we've always had this approach, and this aligning on this platform is allowing us to go pretty much all in with the concept that we've been building on for this entire time.
So this is one screenshot of the Stellar Cyber platform. You're going to get a demo that's going to show you more in just a bit in this webinar. But what you see here is an example of the type of capabilities that you'll be able to interact with in Stellar. You're seeing a case here. This is built from multiple correlated alerts and entities. On the left, you can see a timeline of events. And if you dig in, you'll be able to see how those things are occurring across the kill chain. And then on the right here, you see an entity-based analysis. You can see the connections between the various IP addresses, the users, the alerts that are occurring, and the activities that are being analyzed. And so as we roll out Stellar Cyber in Q1 of 2024, your team and you will begin to have direct access to these types of capabilities. I do want to say that ultimately you're paying for managed XDR, MXDR, and that means you're paying for our service. We are going to continue to monitor the systems and initiate your response plan, which means you don't actually have to log into this application. We will work with you if we see signs of real threat activity. But for sophisticated end users that want this direct access, we're going to be able to provide that.
All right. Thank you, Garrett. And now I want to take you to Jonathan. Jonathan, as I mentioned before, and Jonathan, you can just go ahead and take the screen share. He's going to do a demo of what it looks like. And as I said, Jonathan has been an IT director. He's been a CIO very recently. And Jonathan, you're really excited to show people this.
Oh, yeah, I am, Jake. And so if you guys all remember Wizard of Oz, everybody wanted to go visit the wizard, but what they had to do is kind of pull back the curtain. And so this will allow you to see this limited demo preview. You'll be able to meet the wizardry of our SOC by being able to see some of the tools and services that they use on your behalf for a customer and partner. You'll be able to see cases firsthand. So let's go ahead and talk about this new updated platform. Staring us in the face with this little loop-de-loop, this is the kill chain. This is part of the MITRE ATT Framework. This was developed off of government agencies and cybersecurity professional researchers that looked at attack vectors of what a bad actor would use to gain a foothold inside an organization's network infrastructure. And so you can see that this is broken down by 5 different domains inside here. And this will reflect through the alerts, the correlated alert data that you have access to, and we'll be able to go through that and propagate it. However, if we highlight over the top of these, what you'll see is these are the tactics that are used in every process of the kill chain. And like I said, this is reflected in the case studies. And we'll go ahead and take a look at the case currently. We're going to jump into dark side. As we jump into there, you get a highlight. Here's the score. Here's who, when, where. You can see status and assigned to. As you go to the score breakdown, what you'll see is observed XDR kill chain steps. This one hit on all 5. Hosts that were involved, processes that were used, and users that also attributed to this attack. As you look at the kill chain process right here in the center, you'll see that this comprises of 8 different alerts. That's also reflected down here. There's 8 alerts that triggered this event. And so we'll go ahead and take a look at through actions to drill down more into this event. As we hover across the top, what you will see is internal SQL dump file execution. If you're not quite sure how this affects your environment, and this goes for all these alerts, you can go over to the knowledge base, click into here, and that knowledge base is going to help you better understand this attack vector. Here, this is a link that you can use, but also our SOC will be using this one to link back to this alert, so you will have accurate data content, and you'll be able to see exactly what the SOC is explaining to you through this managed detection response service that we're providing. Here's the stage. This was an exploration stage. The tactic was used was collection, and the technique was data staged, right? And so as you can come down through here, you can see the fidelity and severity alert. You can get into the details. This is a full detail about the event as a whole. You can see it in a JSON file. We're going to click out of this, and we're going to move over to an analyst view. On the analyst view, here's that screen that Garrett presented. Being a system administrator, this is so valuable because this allows you to be able to tell that story to your C-suite so they can easily understand what took place in your network infrastructure. Over here on the right side, you can see the 2 users that were involved. You can drill down into those. You can see the hosts, still can drill down into those. And then you can see the executables that were used for this type of attack. On the left-hand side, you're also able to see the timeline of how the events took place. As you can see, they triggered over time to propagate this alert. Through connections with us in your environment, as we ingest and also have the connections with some of your utilities, through the playbook setup, we're able to take action on your behalf where we could block IP address and also disable users. We're going to go ahead and jump back up to this critical insight tab, which brings us back to this main landing page dashboard. And we're going to take a look at risky assets. And so we're going to dive into this carbon win attack. As you can see the propagation once again listed for the attack vector that was used. As we go to take a 360 panoramic view, we drop down into this. And what you're going to see is you're going to see the attacking host. This is how it propagated through the system. Here's that carbon black win1. And then you can see it communicating out to other hosts that are on the network as well. And each one of these is followed up by the attack vector that was used. Okay, we're going to jump to investigation. We're going to take a look at threat hunting. By the way, This asset analytics, this is the same view that we're seeing here in a different setup scenario, so you can look at it from a different point of view. However, we're going to jump into threat hunting. On threat hunting, what you're going to see is you're going to see the ingest of data content that comes in from your different parts and pieces of your environment. We can go ahead and we can work on alert score, where we can change the scoring to see a view of maybe 80 to 100% of what we wanted to see in alert data content. So we can move the slider up and mark that as 80. That will go ahead and update for us. And you can go through the taggings and you have all these filters that you can play with, but we're going to jump into the alert side. As you can see, currently we're looking at alerts, but there's other categories that we can drill down into. And we're going to go ahead and take a look at Windows events. As we click into Windows events, you can see that this is now populated. We're still looking at that 80 to 100% view. But then we're able to drill down into the Windows IDS alert events, and you can also search for them through this function. Once again,
so
back up.
Jonathan, I just wanted to chime in. This is one of the repeated requests that we've heard from customers. You know, historically, we've been able to go into the data that we retain and extract data and provide that to customers as a data export. But this ability to actually query your security events is something that, you know, has been asked for, and we're excited to do this. I do want to emphasize that what we are ingesting are the events that have security context, right? So the events that are helpful for our security operations center analysts and looking for bad things. And so it's that security event data that we're querying here. I do want to admit that this is not a full log management solution. We're not ingesting data that doesn't have security context. So what you're seeing here is the ability to search for security events.
Thank you, Garrett. And you're absolutely right. This is the value that's going to come with this new platform that users have requested to be able to have access to. And so we're super excited to be able to get this into your guys' hands. Another feature that I'm super excited about, especially being in that system administrator seat, not only are we tracking alert correlated data within your environment, but here you're also able to see user behavior analysis. So here through the breakdown, you can kind of see through the chart structure. We're going to jump into users. As we jump into users, you're also going to see it by risk score, and you're able to drill down into these users. So this is very effective for when you're an administrator and you're looking at potential attack vectors in your environment. Of course, we got 100% risk rating here, but this will help you to be able to target your employees to where you can give them effective training for how not to be the top candidate for highest risk factor in your environment. This does conclude this limited demo preview, but we're very excited about what Stellar Cyber is going to be doing for us.
Awesome. There are two questions in the chat that came up there. The first was, Ryan asked, when will this become available? And Garrett, you said, we're starting to migrate customers at the end of Q1. And then Sumas asked, are these logs and events only available if additionally licensed and utilize the new Stellar Cyber MXDR platform? Garrett, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, the ability to use the user interface that you just saw that's a Stellar capability. Today we are ingesting essentially the same data using very similar techniques. And our analysts have access to that data, but in today's platform, we don't expose the query capabilities or we certainly have that customer portal that you can utilize, but it stops a bit shy of some of the capabilities that you're seeing on the Stellar UI.
And if I'm reading in the question, is there an upcharge for it? No, this becomes part of this becomes part of your MDR subscription services. There's not an additional upcharge for it. I think part of this is like we've recognized the need to expose this, as April said in the chat. For us control freaks out there, thank you. Yep, that's the goal here. So no, there's no additional charge here. Fred, to you with the frequently asked questions. Although I don't think that was one of the questions that was in there.
Well, I'll give our audience credit. They're asking a lot of the frequently asked questions, so good for them. So what we're going to talk about today, we've kind of put a top 5 together. We actually have a lot of content and frequently asked questions material we produced for our teams. And if you have any further questions, they're equipped to answer those. And if they don't have the answer, they'll reach out to the product team and we'd be happy to talk to you. But this is some really fantastic changes we're making here. But why do we decide to do this? Well, we've always been continuously improving our stack, but this was really about listening to our customers. We are, as you heard, our customers have asked us for these types of things for basically for, since we began. And we took a very stepwise and thoughtful approach to building out something that kind of answers all of those things rather than dribbling out a feature at a time. We're kind of doing this rapid evolution to bring all these new capabilities, the features, improve reporting, all at the same time. And so this is for you, for the customer, this is a paradigm shifting change for you in the positive sense. Again, our service model, we have the same people, the same team, same approaches. We have now a platform we can be more efficient on. But what really changes here is for you. So you'll have the ability now to interact with your own security event data in a way you haven't before, visibility into our investigations in a way you haven't before, really the ability to look and investigate things that may not be directly what we're investigating in terms of monitoring, but other things you may want to understand about your environment. So that's the customer experience, but there's also the ability to really lean into this open XDR architecture. And what that means is we can now have one of the broadest sets of integrations of security products out on the market today, meaning we can look at almost all of the top EDR vendors, all of the top firewall vendors. All these things now have the ability to integrate with us and provide differing types of data to us. So this ability now to have even richer set of data gives us kind of that 360 degree viewpoint that really the whole point of being an MXDR provider is all about. So why did we go with Stellar? I mean, you've heard a little bit. Why did we select them? Well, this was a very extensive process for us to think, how do we move from our existing Elasticsearch SIEM component of our stack and move to something that's cloud-based and that has additional capabilities, things like OpenSearch. If you remember from Garrett's data diagram, we were storing data in multiple places because data has differing uses. Some of it's used for alerting, some of it's used for enrichment, right? So we store those data in different places and we have the ability to go grab that data and enrich all of our investigations, most of the time in an automated fashion. So when it gets to an actual human, they're already working with a complete set of data and they're able to rapidly move through that investigation. So this process, we looked at pretty much every solution on the market and pretty much every permutation on build it yourself versus a platform approach. So this process was comparing 20 plus solutions down to 5, looking at over 100 attributes in the process. And the final 3, we actually did proof of concepts. We wanted to make sure that we were absolutely sure that what we were going to settle on and move forward with was going to be something that leads us to the future and doesn't kind of anchor us in the past. Clearly, Stellar Cyber was the winner for this. And it is what we call a true multi-tenant platform, which can have a lot of meanings. But for you as a customer, it means it now gives us the ability to do all this fine-grained access control and provide access to you that you would not have been able to have before. So these are foundational improvements in what we're doing, and they're really focused on you, the customer. So here's just a quick list of some of the things that are going to be available. We talked about the fact that our monitoring is going to become better, and our false positive reporting will be better. And it really relates to that next box, the fact that we have machine learning based things tied to UEBA, rule based sets, the graph ML based correlations and visualizations. All of this together greatly improves our ability to reduce those false positives and move rapidly through investigations. Mapping it now fully to the MITRE attack chain and providing that in a timeline view. These are, I believe, fundamental now to how we'd like to present this data to our client base. You can go in and understand this from a standards-based approach, from a visual timeline-based approach, things that are intuitive, things that are not hard to understand, because this stuff alone can be really difficult to understand. So we believe we're enabling you to get a really deep grasp of what's going on by providing these visualizations and timeline views. You're going to have that visibility into SOC investigations that's even better than before. As you can see, you're going to see the same exact data our SOC team is going to see, and you're going to get updates basically in real time as the SOC analysts are moving through those investigations. You get to search and analyze your own security events, the alerts, and the cases. Huge, huge. I mean, I think there's probably 24 ways that this can be useful to you as one of our customers, and I'm sure many of you can't wait to get in there and start running your own queries on that. As you can see, our reporting, our visualizations, our dashboards are numerous, extensive, and kind of cover almost any permutation of how you might want to look at the data. Some of the reports too are focused on executive reporting. Some are focused on technical reporting. So the reports are very varied now that you can go in and we can produce basically by the click of a button. Our XDR detections and things like O365, Microsoft 365 have really improved because we're taking a slightly different approach to how we're ingesting data from those environments and giving us essentially all of the raw data that Microsoft is providing. This also allows us to do things around the Microsoft licensing to give us greater detection capabilities at lower license levels. So again, huge shift in the way we're doing this that greatly increases our ability to view events in pretty much any of those Microsoft O365 environments. Again, we talked about the fact that pretty much if it's a best of breed technology, I believe we probably have an integration. And if it's one that we're not actively using today, talk to us. We can do a quick, real short beta for most of them if we verify that it's one of our supported integrations and have a new integration up really rapidly. So if you have something, talk to us. Okay, we want to know what it is. We can probably integrate that and give you that complete view of what's going on in your environment. Again, we're starting to say that, as you'll see, we're going to have you, CyberSaint will be something you'll have access to. You have the CVI portal that we have, our continuous vulnerability identification. You're going to have access to the Stellar Cyber. Well, we're going to be integrating your user experience. So it's a single sign-on approach. You come through our portal, and then you're going to be then redirected, basically to other sites, which will use this federated authentication, so you don't have to authenticate multiple times. So really, you're going to go to one place and you're going to have access to all of these features and tools and platforms. And the other cool thing is our new approach to on-premises sensors. So we'll always have the collector, the CI collector, which has a very specific and advanced set of capabilities and features. There will probably be another hardware sensor that we are going to put out that will have a slightly different set of features, and a virtual sensor that we're going to put out that, in my mind, lends itself to implementations where east-west traffic may be of interest. It's an easy way to go deploy additional points of data collection on the network. So again, this says that we can really view things in ways we haven't been able to before, and giving you options on how you can deploy these particular solutions into your on-prem environment in new ways. So this is, again, paradigm shifting, something that will really supercharge our abilities to see what's going on in your environments.
And since it's come up in the chat, one other new feature, honeypots, not in Q1. But
yes, not in Q1, correct. But yes, we do have the ability to deploy honeypots through our solution as well. So what's changing, right? Everybody's, so what does this mean, right? We've seen this in the chat here. Your core MDR services are not changing, right? You're going to be receiving alerts and communicating with our SOC team in exactly how same fashion you have in the past, monthly service reviews. All the things that you've been experiencing before will be the same things that you will continue to experience. So it's the same people. We're still US-based SOC. It's all US-based operation. So the things that change are really the things that you get to take advantage of. So what may happen to your data as it's changing here? Well, now it is going through other types of detection engines. Like I said, UEBA using machine learning is an addition for us, and that's going to give us that real view into strict user behavior or entities like particular assets on your network. If they're behaving anomalously, we're going to be alerting on those types of things. So additional alerting engines, which are going to give us more high fidelity alerting. And there may be a couple steps that if you have an on-premise collector that you're going to have to do, which would be maybe changing firewall permissions, because we're going to be shifting where ingest goes. And if you're in the cloud, we're probably going to have you cut new API keys as part of the process, or re-up those keys. A very short but a critical step to move you to the new platform. You will learn about these things as we announce, and we will have a plan specific for you when we talk to you about what the steps that you'll need to go through. But it should be extremely minimal, and some of them may actually have no steps whatsoever that will happen as part of this. And again, the things we always want to say is, this is what our analysts are already good at. This platform is built in a fashion that is virtually identical to the approach that they have been using the entire time we've been providing our services. So for our SOC team, this is just the same thing, but with even more high fidelity alerts and the ability to move more efficiently through the process. So it's a supercharger, right? That we've kind of slapped onto the service to make everything better. Again, when is this stuff going to happen? What is this going to mean? Like I said, API tokens, secrets, and keys will need to be regenerated. Whether we do this separately from your on-premises implementation will be something we'll determine with you. Whatever makes the most sense, we'll be doing. Cloud deployment steps are going to have a few things that will need to be taken on your behalf, or for us on your behalf, and we'll get those cloud deployments moved relatively quickly. Like I said, we'll stage those potentially differently than the on-prem collectors because they're different workflows. Again, we'll work together, whatever makes the most sense for you. There is a possibility that if you have an old collector and it was coming up on maybe it's time to be replaced anyways, or if in fact we believe there's a reason that updating that collector is the appropriate approach. Same thing as our deployment. We ship you a box, you unplug the old one, plug in the new one, hit the on button, it phones home, and it's off and running. So again, a very simple process if we have to go with that step. Again, everybody will have a custom plan for their particular environment. We're going to begin this starting here. Well, actually, we're going to try to achieve most of this in Q1. The process, again, will be notification in January with the window we hope to begin the migration. We can, again, work with you and slide those windows if need be. It's probably as simple as a new firewall rule, new tokens, maybe a little bit of that hardware replacement I'd mentioned. we do need people to understand that you do need to make the move, because parts of our existing infrastructure today will be going away because we're moving off those, and they will cease to have value to us. So we need to, we do need everyone to make this migration. And the particular ones we really want to focus on and make sure are planning for this are people with on-premises collectors, because we do need to get this completed by the end of Q1 for on-premises collectors. So we're going to work really closely with you again on these timelines, but we want to work and move this through. And the whole process, well, I will say that our existing infrastructure that no longer is needed to support our services will be end of life sometime in Q3. So we're going to be moving through this process, working very closely with you. The good news is it's really lightweight. You know, we've looked across this. It looks really lightweight. And the thing is, you'll be getting these new capabilities expanding throughout Q1. And by the end of Q1, you will have access to the full suite of things that we're providing here.
And hey, then Fred, there are a couple of questions that came up here, and so let's just let's go through them rapid fire here. You know, number one, what's your plan for keeping, migrating, integrating historical monitoring data and events, and for tuning existing customers over this new platform? You covered some of that, but the historical data.
Yeah, I can take that, and Fred, you can fill in any gaps here. So I showed you on that architecture slide about the data tiering and the data storage capacities. We have historically had a data lake, and that concept of an object store or data lake is congruent with what we do today. So the type of data that we retain, we will continue to retain according to our standard policies. And so it's really that hot store that will migrate over. And that hot store is really for current activities, but that longer term object store will continue to maintain that.
Yeah.
And then there's question. Good, Fred.
I was going to say that's one of the things about that open search capability we mentioned is to retain the capability to access that data and pull it into the new platform.
Cool. Yeah, and in terms of Nathan, I saw your question, and we'll be working with each customer on a per customer migration plan, and we'll be making sure that we are migrating all the current API connections. The collectors will point at the new infrastructure and so forth. So we'll be migrating all of those existing data sources, and with it, making sure that our detections and tuning are maintained or hopefully improved on the new platform.
Yeah, and then Garrett, a couple of questions about integrations. Like one person asked, is Palo Alto direct integration available? And another is, it's basically if on the Stellar website, if it says product integration, then can we integrate it? Is the way I'm sort of summing up these questions, Garrett.
Yeah, so we've been adding integrations rapidly for the last, I'd say, 18 months, and are really focusing in on the security technologies that are most common in our customer environments, and that provide the most, high fidelity data for our analysts to monitor. And so we will be continuing that trajectory. Stellar certainly will help us further accelerate that, and that capabilities that you can see on the Stellar website is the foundation. Now we're also pushing them on a few things that aren't even on their website. But we do want to make this a managed service. And so part of what we're doing is making sure that we're ready to investigate those alerts, that the SOC is trained, that we have all the capabilities for provisioning and monitoring the uptime of all those data sources. So we're not going willy-nilly, but we are going to be at a fast clip adding integrations. Cool.
I'd also like to mention there's different ways that those integrations can work. Sometimes it's for receiving high fidelity alerts and potentially taking action on it, for example, an EDR endpoint. Other things are there to provide enrichment and contextual data. So it's not, people think of it sometimes as it all goes in the same door and it all gets treated as alerts, and that's not true, right? Some data is alert data, some technologies throw alert data, some throw all the contextual data that allow us to build a case and an investigation and fill out all that additional information.
All right. And is any of the customer data being outsourced outside of CI, Garrett?
No, we will think of Stellar as part of our platform, and we of course have been maintaining a SOC 2 examination, and Stellar has the same. So we'll be referring to their SOC 2 for those platform security tests. But the actual human involvement, the people monitoring the system, will be the same security analysts that CI has today. They're all US based. No changes there.
And Chris wants to know, is the MCAS license, or whatever Microsoft, I'm sure, has renamed it 38 times since we first put it on our website, is it still required for O365 integration?
So the answer, I believe, is no, because we're now grabbing those logs ourselves and doing our own analysis. But Microsoft is getting even cagier with licenses and let out a few new license levels recently, like the F size or F series licenses. So
the frontline licenses, yeah.
As they change, I can't promise anything if it's brand new tomorrow, right? I can tell you what works today, right?
Awesome. All right, Fred, why don't you do why don't you talk about CyberSaint? We're going to do that demo, and then we'll answer some of these other questions in the chat.
Sure. So this is, I'm so happy to announce this. This is truly unique, I believe, certainly amongst MDR providers and pretty much any service provider, that you get access to what is a world-class, they call it a cyber risk and compliance platform. We used to call them GRC platforms. This is kind of the new world. It's an online SaaS application. You have access 24/7. And as you can see, you can delegate tasks to your team. So it's not something that you have to undertake yourself. It has a great engine to assign these tasks, get these to the right people so they can answer a couple questions, and you can move through an assessment incredibly rapidly. As we mentioned, we're going to guide you through a initial assessment. We want to help you get started on the platform. It is so valuable once you get in there. It's something you're gonna find out you can't live without, frankly. But we're gonna get you through the NIST power controls. That's the cybersecurity framework. But at the category level, not digging down all of the subcategories, to get you a high level view of where you're at. Immediately, you're going to be able to start understanding your risk profile and things that you need to start addressing. And then you can expand upon that by using any of 60 plus frameworks they have in there. They have frameworks in there, and I thought I know all of them, and they have some I've never even heard of. So pretty much anything, CIS, European standards, US standards, HIPAA, right? Any of those, right? You can assess yourself against, or even use a crosswalking approach where you do your basic NIST cybersecurity assessment, go all the way down to the subcategories. And then you could say, how does that compare to HIPAA? And then it will tell you, here's the things that you have in place for HIPAA based on what you've said for this other standard. So again, you do the work once, and then you can compare to any number of compliance frameworks you may need to report on that you're being governed by. And then the cool stuff is it gives fantastic board level reporting. The board want to know where we're at tonight? I can go in and I can run a report and literally put out a board level report that says, in this point in time, this is exactly where we're at. This is what the risks we have. This is potentially the value at risk for the entire organization right now. So it's a world-class product, and it's something that if you have MDR service with us, we're going to work with you to get you on this platform, give you an account, so you can go and get the most out of this.
And we do want to show it to you. Jonathan, can you go ahead and take the screen share and give people like a quick 5-minute view of what it looks like? You're on mute, by the way. It's like you're underwater.
Slightly underwater. Thank you, Jake. Yeah, we're super excited because this is also an enhancement to your cybersecurity journey. We've showed you previously on the managed XDR environment that we were presenting forward. And this one is that thorn in the side that really impacts all customers, whether you're in a regulatory environment or not. I came out of healthcare, so I saw immediate value when this utility was presented that we're going to be able to hand this out to customers. So really just a value on this regulatory side that that you just don't see from other competitors, and it's just an awesome utility. We are going to go ahead and use, for our demo purposes, the NIST CSF subcategories. This fits into a number of our ICPs for our customers, but NIST is kind of the de facto framework that you'd want to kind of stick to if you don't have a regulatory that you're trying to follow. In this example, for those that follow NIST, you're going to notice right away that we're talking about the 5 domains in this one, and we're still waiting for that final ruling from NIST to be pushed out, and that will be updated appropriately when that happens, where we'll add that governance piece in. But currently, what's reflected is just those 5 domains. This is a tailored view, the power controls that we talked about, that this has the most value and impact to your environment, especially for small teams to be able to do a self-assessment and progress on your cybersecurity journey. Really quickly on the dashboard, just to point this out, the dark blue is your targeted score and the light blue is where you're projected. And we will dive into how we make that scoring happen. But there's also some other data highlights here, and this all goes back to that board level reporting, but you're able to show progression on your environment as a whole. We're going to dive down into the controls. As we dive into the controls, this one consists of 108 controls. We're going to go ahead and pick network monitoring. So right away on the controls, what you are seeing is you're seeing what the goal of this objective is to meet the measure of this control. So this one, you need to be able to monitor and detect potential cybersecurity events. You guys have a lot of great utilities in place. For our customers, you have managed detection and response. So you have a lot of great coverage that's there. However, for demo purposes, we're marking this one as nearly. This all updates in real time, as you can see, as the scores changed. Nearly for customers coming into this, like you might have all the great tools, but we want you to go back and validate that in your infrastructure. And then your targeted score, of course, where you always want to be is that fully marked. You want to make sure that you're fully covered in your environment. You're able to add collaboration, be able to assign this out to users to help answer these questions if you're not quite sure. And then you're also able to set a due date and reevaluation date. So as you knock it out for year 23-24, you're able to set a revalidation date however you want. If you want to do quarterly, monthly, or yearly, this will come back up and prompt you to revalidate this control. In here, you're also able to upload support evidence where you're able to give it a name and a link back to where you can find it on your network. So this really becomes that value set where everything's collected. You don't have to hunt for it anymore because you'll have the link that links right back to it. Through the risk assessment, you're going to go ahead and self-assess this one out for this event because we have a lot of great controls. We marked it for low. However, if there was a breach of control, like one of our controls failed or we're missing a control somewhere, especially if you look at it from a healthcare standpoint, that impact can be really high, very high, in fact, right? And so what we're trying to do is to make sure that we populate this appropriately for our environment. The next set is data priority protection. This one's centered around network monitoring. So we're really looking at integrity. Here you have additional ones that you can list or take away for threat types. You can have nothing, or you can come back and you can add that in. For business impact, especially for a heavily regulatory environment like healthcare, easily all 4 of them, right? And then you can put a fiscal amount of what would happen if this control failed, the min and max, and most likely that we're going to see for event failure of this control. You can go into the control description. The control description will tell you about the goals and objectives, and this points you back to NIST framework as a whole to be able to answer the guidance for answering this control. There's a supplemental guidance too that will help you make sure that you evaluate all areas of your environment for answering the control. Outcomes, this is just a reminder. This is what you're looking for. This is what you're trying to adhere to. And the policy templates, as we expand this out, you can see the 5 domains and additional. What this is actually best practice policies that you can incorporate into your environment. Through that incorporation, you might be able to improve a policy or find that you're lacking a policy. But either way, you're going to be able to use this utility to help shore up any weak points in your policy construction and or missing policies that should be there. And then from history, well, we changed quite a few things in the control as we were showing this out in demo. And so this actively tracks that history tab that you would see. So if you work within team members and stuff like that, if you're the administrator, you'd be able to see what changes were made over time as you handed out the work. Due to time purposes, we're going to go back in here. I'm going to show you a couple other ones. We have optimizations and reports, super important. We're going to lead into snapshots, however, because this has a huge implication for regulatory environments. You want to be able to show that you're progressive, show that you're doing the work, that you have something that you're following. You are able to do snapshots through that environment. And so as you take snapshots, let's say for 23, 24, you do updates to the answers from 23 into 25. Let's say you end up with a financial audit, and they're going to come back and they're going to ask system administrator, okay, what have you been doing to improve your security posture? And you'd be able to go back and show snapshots of the timeline and say, hey, this is what we've done over the course of the last 2 years. This is the framework that we're following. And so really, this is the utility that enhances that cybersecurity journey process for progression, and also helps you as a system administrator to lessen that prick of the thorn in the side for having to make sure that you're following some type of framework in your environment for use. And that is the conclusion of this demo. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. And Fred, you wanted to talk, one of the questions that just came up in the chat, I think, is this included? Is this an add-on? No, we're including this as part of the service. And you also, so that's at the top here is, CyberSaint at the bottom is with O365 and M365 monitoring. Fred, you want to finish that one? You're on mute.
Yeah, we want to get people through a baseline configuration, because out of the box, you are not secure with Microsoft or M365. So we want to help people get a security baseline in there, because it also helps us do effective monitoring. So we'll have one of our strategists go through a guided review and help you check all those boxes to make sure you're turning on all those features you're paying for, and then guide you to, hey, and if you're going to move farther, here's things like conditional access policies we think you should build. So it'll get you to a point where you have a good monitorable baseline, you've got most of your features turned on, and you have a direction to go to really kind of fine tune that.
Awesome. Thanks, Fred. And just as a reminder, today we focused on those two new functionalities of MXDR and the GRC platform, but we still are a full service cybersecurity as a service shop, where we're providing incident response and tabletops. We're doing risk assessments, vuln scanning and identification. We're doing pen testing, and everything else that's on here. We're still doing all of that. So I also recognize that there are a lot more questions in the chat. If we don't get to one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the chat, grab your email address, and we'll shoot you an answer this week and make sure we get to it. Hey, Fred, we've gone through a lot today and given people a real good picture of what the future looks like. Can you just leave people with a final thought here?
Yeah, I mean, this really is all about what you've been asking us for, and we've provided that even probably over achieved in what we provided. So we want you to really dig in on the new platform, enjoy all the new features. Let us know what you think as you move through them, and we will continue this process. This is what we're going to do for our product approach, and your input is critical for us. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody. And thank you, Fred. We've really appreciated having you here. As a reminder, if you have any questions, if you want to reach out to us, just shoot me an email, jake@criticalinsight.com, and we look forward to talking to you in the future. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.